You are listening to Be Simply. This is Suzanne Toro, aka She. You can anticipate being inspired, discovering some inner and outer wisdom and inspiration. Without further ado, let's dive into Be Simply. Welcome to this segment of Mind, You, and Food, brought to you by Be Simply. And this is Suzanne Toro, and I want to thank you for being here in this moment. Today, we're going to continue to increase the vibration with the summer sentiment and talk about an item that lately has been, downgraded as a GMO. And it reminded me of, well, you can tell by the image I used, we're going to be talking about lemons. And years back, it reminded me when someone asked me recently that they understood that lemons were a GMO to lime. And actually, well, I responded, I'm like, I don't know about that because I didn't. And it's important to me to say when I don't know. I do know, though, I've traveled many regions of the world. And for instance, in a place called Italy, they only have what we call lemons. And even early on in the years when I would visit there and ask for a lime, they had no idea what we were talking about. And so I found, in preparing for this segment, I found this beautiful article, which I'll put below. It was written in 2010 about the lemon orchards on the Amalfi Coast. Just so heartwarming. And there's a video referenced in the article, but I'm going to put it below. I hope you watch it. It's just so endearing. It reminds me a lot of Guatemala when, back in the not so distant past, and it's still happening in the Amalfi Coast and Guatemala and many other parts of the world, where the human gets involved in things like moving fruits and vegetables, moving rock and aggregate with the human body. And that's because we're designed to get involved. And so I hope if you have the time, you'll take a moment to watch the segment and this beautiful woman in Italy that took care of, I'm not sure if she's still with us, but at the ripe age of 86, when this video was taken, is still making her way up and down the steep hills in a very still state. So I share this because right now, as we continue to evolve with this very rudimentary type technology that can provide many beautiful things and then also can be tricky. And so I'm going to show you guys a few things that I do when I'm trying to make sense of statements people or questions people pose, because it's important. I teach my students, be a critical thinker, examine all sides. And it's really important not to repeat sound bites. So even these segments are short and they give you some information with links below. Always encourage you to do the research. In addition, you'll notice I'm going to put a scientific paper on the genomes of the origin of citrus, and understand that everyone, depending when they're documenting information, when they're recording it, they're susceptible to a lot of factors. They're susceptible to who they work for, to the information that they have, what they're trying to illustrate or show, because like any of us, if we want to quote unquote convince someone of something, this is a simple thing you may be taught in high school here in North America, is how to write a paper that persuades someone. So in the science community, in the science medical community, there's a lot of this because people get grants, and even in the other aspects of the world, people get money so that they can support their point of view or their position. So lately, since we humans are getting trained to get bits of information very rapidly and not with a lot of substantiation, I really welcome you to go and look for what you need. And back in the day when people used traditional libraries, they would go and research and look through microfiche, and they had to learn how to use a card index so they could find what they needed. And then they had to find the books on the shelf. And if they weren't there, they had to go back to another piece. So you can understand just even in the transformation in the last 100 years of how information is distilled, it was a much more slow pace, and now it's a very rapid pace. And on the internet itself, things can get rewritten within seconds if someone chooses to do that. The best thing is that we do the best we can. And if you have inner code of ethics, then you're going to really plight to do things for the highest and best. And so as it relates food and this wonderful fruit called lemon, this citrus does so many great things because it is there not only for us to build our immunity, it serves us kind of in all seasons. It has a long fruiting season, and depending where it's grown, it can be used all the way through winter into the summer months, and then takes a respite as it goes into fall and winter and begins blossoming again. And that's where, if you've lived in a place where citrus blooms, springtime is kind of a sign that fragrant, sweet smell comes up and that citrus is blooming. So also, there's this really great relationship between the lemon and the lime. One helps with a little bit more acid, and the other one helps with a little more alkalinity. And again, our body does a lot for us, so we don't have to spend too much time thinking about it, but you can tune in yourself to see what you need. Do I need a little bit more acid? Do I need a little bit more alkaline? And that is something for you to choose. And so the fun thing about this lemon is it has so many great properties. The skin is thicker typically than what you would know as a lime. There's that white fleshy area that has so many phytochemicals. And actually, if you put that in your water, hot water with lemon, then you can eat it. Because if you were in nature and if you see the critters, they don't peel the lemon. They just bite through it. The same with all other citrus fruit. And in fact, it's a little bit more difficult to bite through something like a lime. So as we enter summer and winter, this is a beautiful complementary item to add to almost anything that you would like to create, from desserts to soups to barbecues to dressings to everything. It's such an amazing item. And interesting enough, what I just was finding out, the genomes of citrus, is that the traditional lemon and lime that we know onboarded about the same time at the equal rate. So I'm just having a little fun with this, because when people point these things out, to take responsibility for what one is saying is important, and to be willing to shift your position if you find out a new body of information. Another fun fact is that I found that there's a 8-million-year-old citrus leaf that was discovered. And a lot of this came from the Himalayas and different parts of China, the provenance of China. So a couple factors, especially when we're talking about food, genetically modified food, if you understand that we have this thing called wind, and we have bees and we have birds, and they transport things, and other animals transport things, that everything will become genetically modified, and that's part of nature's fun design. So right now on many continents, we are blessed with lemons and limes. Some areas of the world only have lemons, some only have limes, and those aren't by accident. So as you deepen your relationship with food and what you feel inclined to take in, feel into what and why that is. And there are definitely areas in the world that citrus would not grow very effortlessly, if at all. So those are things to consider too, because there's other things that could replace those phytochemicals and the vitamin C that's helpful with citrus, and in particular lemon and limes. And so as you want to abide in lemon during this summer season, if you think about it, that it's this great option to use for marinating, dressing, and also for desserts, really cooling. So if inspired, think about what you can do with not just the inside of the lemon, but the outside of the lemon. You can take that rind and dry it out and have tea with it. You can candy it. You can use that lemon zest to put in breads, cakes, desserts. Recently, I saw one chef, she put the whole lemon in the blender and made a cake out of it. I have not tried that, but I'm curious about it because lemon is one of my favorite ingredients to work with. So coupled with the ability for lemon to help break down a lot of things, this is what is often used to break down any mucus and helps bolster immunity and give you a lift. So if you think about summer being a time that we want to increase our joy and love and give something a lift, look to the lemon. Look to the lemon. It'll lift your recipes. It'll lift your life. It'll help cleanse and detoxify you in the morning if you choose to connect with it. And if you're not feeling the lemon, then hopefully you're living in part of the world where the lime exists and you can use the lime, which is really sattvic, very healing on the liver. So this is something to consider. But interesting enough, there's proof that both lime and soda water and lemon and soda water, meaning medical studies, it actually cures scurvy. So that's another thing, is that when you think about nature, that we don't have to go and hoard things from different parts of the world, that Mother Nature provides us everything that we need right in our own backyard. And if you're willing to interact with nature that way, you might be surprised at what you discover is available to you just down the street. Like I said, in your backyard, what comes up as a voluntary plant. And this is how nature responds to animals, plants, insects in the region, and adaptations take place. Now, most certainly, we started this conversation a little bit about genetically modified organisms. When organisms are being made in a lab, meaning a non-organic location, this can be problematic because, again, it's like playing God over nature versus allowing nature to do what nature does best. And it's a slow, organic process. And when humans get impatient and start forcing things in a lab environment, that can become problematic to any ecosystem. So I encourage all of you, if inspired in the next week or so, to take some time to go out and observe nature, see what you have growing in and around your neighborhood, see what you have growing in your own backyard, and see what you'd like to start creating with this summer. And then think about that citrus fruit that's still available, where you want to integrate it into your daily diet. Because currently here on planet Earth, we're still working out some kinks from other genetically modified organisms. And the citrus ally, coupled with chili, cayenne, will serve you quite well. And so one of the remedies, and this will help our brothers and sisters down under that I always have ready to drink as much as possible when I start to get a nose, throat, head thing is hot lemon water with cardamom, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, and honey, local honey. And you continue to drink that until it's gone. Everything's moved. So there are many other remedies similar to this all around the world. And as I've always pointed out, that one size does not fit all. So you have to listen to your body. And that's why it's very curious, these limes and lemons onboarded about the same time on planet Earth. We must have needed that yin and yang type of approach in the citrus family. So if inspired, I encourage each and every one of you just to check out what's growing in and around your neighborhood. Start having conversations with your neighbors. See where you can crop share, where you can exchange citrus. Make sure that you always ask permission if you're having an opportunity to see that someone has a beautiful lemon tree and you notice they're not even eating it. Introduce yourself. See if you can exchange some fruit, or if they would mind if you had some. Typically what people will notice that it is impossible to eat the bounty of one tree yourself. So it's meant to be shared. Mother Nature is very generous. And so I encourage you to practice generosity with what's growing in and around you. So as we sign out, we're going to sign out again with a little Kadri Scott and Dante Marino. And I hope that it inspires you to get up and move and continue picking up your step. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us today on Be Simply, Mind You and Food. We're going to exit out with a little Kadri Scott, Don't Think, Just Feel. Let that be the lead-in to your summer months.